Ladies and gentlemen, very welcome to Sime and Sime's AI Summit. Applause are nice, yes. And we are going to have a phenomenal journey in artificial intelligence, how it affects our companies, our society, and maybe ourselves. And who better to kick it off than the phenomenal, imbettable Max Tegmark from MIT. Please have a seat.
Good morning.
Yeah, we have a full house up here as well, and Max was just acing it with a presentation taking us into our brains and out into space. If you would summarize some of the insights from up there, is it possible even? I thought it was so condensed and knowledge packed, but if you would try.
Well, the short version is we're at this amazing time right now where after 13.8 billion years, we humans have finally figured out enough about science and technology that we're on the cusp of being able to either make technology that destroys all life or technology that makes life more awesome than ever, not just on Earth, but even spreading throughout our universe. So it could be that billions of years from now, our universe is going to be teeming with amazing life of all sorts, and it's all going to come back to what we did here in our lifetime. Or it could be that it's all kind of dead because we did something really stupid and fucked up. So don't feel insignificant. What you do, especially you in the tech sector, I think, has an incredible opportunity to really make a dramatic difference for the future of all life. So I love how you guys are here at Sime thinking really, really big. I think that's why Sweden is such a great place for tech startups, because we think big here. And now it's a better time than ever. As we said when we came in here, I think Sweden has a sort of unique culture here also. Sweden was basically the first country in the world that said, around 1945, hey, maybe we should build a welfare state. And most other was like, forget it, that's impossible. People are always going to be starving and dying and whatever. It's just the way it is. And we're like, no, we have better tech now. Finally, there's the possibility to do all these crazy things, free healthcare, free education, free retirement plans. And even though most people around the world thought that was impossible, not only did we do it, but then now Europe has copied it. Pretty much all rich countries except the US have copied this. So Sweden was a leader. And I think now is maybe a time for Sweden to be a leader again and envision if we can have so much better technology with AI.
But there could,
what can we do with that?
It could lead to very different things. You spoke also, if we think that we have a super intelligence, and if AI starts developing other AI and it leaves us far behind in the dust, the idea of us being able to control it, I think you mentioned it as the enslaved God. No, it's fine. We'll handle this here. We're just not connected to the internet or something like that. It's not very plausible. How do you see the risks in AI?
Well, first of all, we need to just forget about most of the lousy Hollywood movies, which make us worry.
It's
worry
not
about
Terminator.
The
That's
thing.
the problem.
AI is not evil. Technology is not evil, but technology also isn't morally good. It's neutral. What about fire? That's also a technology. Is fire good or is it evil? Are you for fire or are you against fire?
Very sensitive. I had my house burned down in Miami, so it's evil.
Very
evil.
Good point. But you're probably for using it to keep this place warm today, just against bad things like that. So we put a lot of effort into how to manage fire. And we have laws against arson. We have a fire department. I think I saw a fire exit up there and stuff. With more powerful technology, right? There's so much more at stake. Just like fire amplifies our ability to do good things and bad things, AI will amplify it so much more.
But I'm trusting on you to be the fire brigade or sort of somebody like you to lay out an ethics framework.
But we can't. You don't want to have. You have to stop thinking about fire brigades because that's so reactive. That's what you do after your house is on fire, right? You don't want to first have a nuclear war and then now comes the anti-nuclear brigade, clean it up. It's much better to not have the nuclear war in the first place. It's much better to not have an out-of-control AI in the first place. That's why it's so valuable to have this conversation now, before we get there. And I personally don't think it's a good idea to have this very adversarial relationship with such powerful technology as superintelligence. Well, we have to rely on our ability to control something much smarter than us. I think it's much better if we can instead align its goals with ours, right? So it works with us.
But how would you control that? I
against
mean, the Bible tried to lay out 10 commandments.
Yeah.
What would be the commandments for AI? Something that governments could go behind and large corporations and individuals as well.
Well, I don't know if commandments is that sounds very sort of adversarial.
Okay.
Don't do this, even though you want to. You know.
Okay.
It's more important to try to make sure you want to do good things. I mean, raise your hand if you have children, right? So you they are human level intelligences that you're creating, right? And first of all, when they're 1 year old, you're smarter than them, but they don't fear you because your goals are aligned with theirs. If we can have an AI that similarly tries to help us the way we help our kids, that's great. And second, we know that our kids are often going to grow up and become smarter than us, more powerful than us, right? Because of that, we put a lot of effort into educating them, teaching them right from wrong, teaching them to want things that we feel are good. And this is something that's largely missing right now in how we make our AIs. We just make them powerful so we can sell them, put so little thought into teaching them right from wrong. Partly because they're too dumb today to be able to really understand much, but partly just because, oops, we didn't think about it. Like, raise your hand if you remember the sad story of Andreas Lubitz, who crashed this Germanwings aircraft into the Alps not so long ago, right? You know how he did it? He told the computer to do it. He told the autopilot to lower the altitude to 100 meters while they flew across the Alps. And the computer just said, okay. Even though it had the GPS map, it had the coordinates, the map, everything. Why did it do it? Was it because it was evil? No, it was just because the people who built that airplane it hadn't occurred to them that they should educate this computer, teach it basic human ethics, not some sort of controversial ethics that people might disagree about, but just don't fly into mountains, for crying out loud, ever, period. Right? If someone had programmed that in, the computer could have just gone into safe mode, autopiloted to the next airport, and everybody would have survived. We didn't think about it. We need to change mindsets. So every time we put intelligence and artificial intelligence into any machine, we should also teach it at least any ethics that it's smart enough to understand.
But how smart is AI today? Because there's very different views on that. Could you take us through sort of where we are today, and then what is AGI, and then sort of evolve us to superintelligence?
Sure. So today, what we largely have, despite all the hype, is nothing close to human level or general intelligence. We have very narrow intelligence. We have machines that are much better at us at some narrow tasks, like multiplying numbers real fast, or memorizing large databases, or even more sophisticated stuff like driving and diagnosing prostate cancer. But very, very narrow things. There is nothing like a human child AI that can get good at anything given enough time. That's the definition of artificial general intelligence, which most experts guessing will have.
So AGI is
maybe
artificial general intelligence, where it gets smarter and smarter, and it can think laterally, and it can solve all kinds of different problems.
And the definition of it that Shane Legg from Google DeepMind made is it's simply an AI that's able to become as good as humans at any cognitive task, do all our jobs, better than us. We're nowhere near that now, but
is there a timeline in your mind?
Well, I try to keep an open mind, but there have been recent surveys where most AI researchers guess we're going to get it within decades, maybe 2040, 2050. Could take much longer, could also happen sooner. I don't think it matters for our planning so much exactly when it happens, but if we feel it's likely that it will happen, we already know what we need to do. We need to start preparing, and we need to. There are all these hard questions that you raised, like how do you teach these right from wrong? How do you make machines understand our goals, adopt them, retain them? How do you make sure they're not buggy and hackable, but trustworthy? Some of these questions are so hard, it might take us decades to answer them. So we should start that research now, not the night before some people who've had too much Red Bull decide to switch it on.
But it's so that's general intelligence. And super intelligence, it's when the AI starts developing the AI and it's as smart as all all human intelligence, or how would you define that?
Yeah, so superintelligence is an AI. So artificial general intelligence is just as good as us or slightly better if it wants to at everything. Superintelligence is just dramatically better, smarter than us. So it's limited not by human abilities or evolution, but just by the laws of physics. So it could be pretty godlike, for all we know.
And then it would be pretty trivial to fly to Mars.
Oh yeah, totally.
Colonize Mars. Copy consciousness.
Don't be so small-minded and think about Mars. Why not go to other galaxies? Well, there's a big universe out there. You know, we have billions of planets,
and
even in our own galaxy, that are very Earth-like.
Do you think it's pretty likely that we'll colonize billions of planets?
I don't like colonize so much as a word. It sounds like so...
Inspire lots of planets by...
but maybe settle.
Settle, yeah.
Go more humble approach. Yeah, I think...
So my AI would be colonizing and yours would be settling. Yes, it's important with words and ethics here, yeah?
But look, I think even though most people tend to assume our universe is some sort of Star Trek place with all these other civilizations doing cool stuff that we just don't know about, there's really no scientific evidence for that at all, and quite a bit of evidence against it. It seems more to me like our universe out there is much like uninhabited wasteland where we are in this oasis where we've been lucky, there's life here, and I think it would be kind of quite beautiful if more of our universe could have the opportunity to wake up and come alive. There's just so much more opportunities to life than has been realized so far. But even if you aren't into this sort of space stuff, I mean, there's just so much more opportunity on this planet. Why should we have people who are starving? I was in the hospital recently visiting a friend who was told she has an uncurable cancer. What does that mean, uncurable? Of course it's not uncurable. We just haven't been smart enough to figure out how to cure it yet, right? It's quite obvious that AI can accelerate the progress of science and figure out how to cure basically all our diseases if we'd like to. Climate change, undoubtedly, technology can help with solutions. Pretty much all of the problems that have stumped us because we weren't quite smart enough, if we amplify our intelligence with machine intelligence, we have the opportunity to solve all of today's and tomorrow's greatest problems here on Earth, so everyone gets better off.
That's smartness, but you also need to be good.
Yes.
And it's enough if one rogue nation super clones their kids, adds a lot of weird stuff, breaks the ethical rules, and use their AIs in the wrong way. How can we possibly counter that?
First of all, I'm just so glad you said that, because this is a mistake many people make when they, like the Swedish government, our Minister of Defense actually had this very lame comment on the Hultqvist that, oh, it's complicated. Should we build killer robots or not? Well, on one hand this, on one hand that. Let's tillsätta en utredning. No, it's not that complicated. If we don't want to have machines killing people, well, maybe we shouldn't be building machines specifically to do that, because the naive thing that some people say, like our Minister of Defense, is, well, it's okay because only we are going to have it and we're the good guys. Yeah, right. Like, when was a weapon built that was only kept by one country and never ended up with the other countries? Obviously, if you mass produce, for example, little slaughter bots or killer drones that can anonymously assassinate people.
Slaughter bot. Cool buzzword at dinner. Slaughter bot.
If you ever saw a YouTube video called Slaughter Bots, raise your hand. Yeah, I plead guilty to having been responsible for making it. But the point is that
so the idea, it goes into a country, face recognition, sees the person, and blows their brains out, go back to home base.
The point is, there always going to be some people who, for whatever reason, want to cause harm. And if you make some technology which is going to empower them to do that, you have problems. So, long story short, yeah, we can't kid ourselves that only the good guys are going to have this. That's why it's so crucial to stigmatize bad uses of technology. Some of my colleagues are very pessimistic and say, "Oh, forget it, Max. You're so naive just because you're from Sweden. It's never going to work because all technology will always be militarized and used in all possible bad ways." But then I point out to them that they're wrong, because that didn't happen with biological weapons. When was the last time you read in Aftonbladet or Expressen about a bioweapons terrorist attack? You probably don't even remember. Because biologists around the world got together and pushed politicians to ban bioweapons, and now everybody feels they're so disgusting, there's so much stigma that it isn't much of a problem. And I'm optimistic that we can do the same with AI.
But we have some guests of honor here. We have His Majesty the King, Her Majesty the Queen is here. We have the President of Italy, and we have parts of the government are here as well. And you might be here in the room because I have lights in the eyes, or on any of the other summits. What would you tell the government, or if you by a strike of a magic wand on Monday, probably because of AI, was the President of Sweden? What would you do having your AI knowledge?
I think Sweden, as I said in the beginning, has this actually amazingly unique tradition of, even though we started out with, getting well known in the world for exporting Viking invasions, actually more recently, we are the country that basically pioneered the whole idea of technology for good. We said, let's use all this technology we have now after World War II to build a state that really makes society better for everyone. And let's do this with AI. Let's think, maybe Sweden can be the country that defines, welfare 3.0. How can we take all this awesome technology and first of all, stigmatize bad uses of it by pushing in the United Nations and elsewhere like Sweden used to do for banning certain things, but also being a real moral leader for identifying all the great stuff that we can do. We see, for example, in terms of jobs, right, in the US, the economy keeps growing, but for the last 40 years, the poorest 30% have just gotten more and more poor and bitter and feel that this technology isn't helping them at all. So they get very angry and they vote for Donald Trump. And, whatever you think about the politicians, the anger is very real. A lot of people, the fact is, this technology has not worked for all Americans. Sweden has this culture of saying, hey, it's perfectly okay. You can use technology to make the poor richer and the rich richer at the same time. I mean, look at how much richer both the richest Swedes and the poorest Swedes are now compared to 1945, right? And now is the time, I think, to raise our ambition level and say, okay, suppose we can use AI to revolutionize education, manufacturing, healthcare, everything else. What can we do now? How can we take this whole idea of welfare to the next level? So even if in the future many people might not have jobs at all, we can have a society that really flourishes. And I would love to see Sweden contribute to this, not just in thinking about how you can make everyone have enough money, because jobs don't just give us income, they also give us purpose and they give us friends, right? How can we use AI to create a society which really truly flourishes in all senses of the word? I'd like to see Sweden lead the way here.
Thank you very much for coming here and sharing, and for doing such interesting things. Hopefully we'll have some time afterwards in the break to if you have more questions from Max. But now on main stage, time is running out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Tackar, tackar.
Tackar, tackar.